George Kershoff is the Deputy Director of the Bureau of Economic Research at the University of Stellenbosch, and he joins us via our video link this morning. George, thank you very much indeed for your time on the AM report. There would have been hopes that in the fourth quarter of the year, we would have at least recovered from that dip from 50 to 43. Is it a bad thing that it's remained the same? It could have been worse?
Yes, good morning. It is indeed, if you look at underlying activity, what is happening to manufacturing, production, retail sales, building activity, there was definitely scope for an increase in this confidence. But these adverse shocks that you mentioned, especially load shedding and also the NUMSA strike, that hit confidence. And in this overall confidence measure, we don't include the hotels and restaurants, and that is in a separate survey. And indeed, we see until before the events of Friday, confidence really skyrocketed. It delivered the biggest increase since 2007. And it is so sad to see this obviously quashed over the weekend with these events. I can imagine it has really retracted. Many hotels reported that for the first time they see business since the pandemic. And numbers were low. People were in a summer mood. Foreign tourists were expected. And all that is obviously now in doubt with these developments.
I wonder if we can just take a step back, George, in terms of the business confidence measurement. You know, what are we looking at here? Obviously, it's a whole range of factors. You've mentioned one industry, and that's hospitality insofar as hotels and restaurants are concerned. But there are a whole range of other sectors that feed into this index.
Yes, indeed. So we conduct a survey amongst all the different businesses, a select group, and we ask them, how do you rate prevailing business conditions? Satisfactory or unsatisfactory? And the percentage that says satisfactory is an indication of confidence. As you rightly point out, many things play a role. One of them is certainly what is happening to business activity. The other one is their expectations, what they expect for the next quarter, and then do it turn out. And I think for most businesses, except perhaps the hospitality, the fourth quarter was a bit of a disappointment. You know, there was a lot of supply chain disruptions. People were worried about stocks, and that obviously adversely affect their confidence. The hospitality industry for now, since the start of the pandemic, they had very weak demand, and for the first time we see a sharp improvement. Hotels saw increased bookings, etc., for the upcoming fourth quarter, this year end. And I think many now see cancellations or delays, and that obviously will hurt confidence in that sector specifically. It is only the December period, so hospitality and restaurants make up 1% of GDP, but it is, if you take all the different links to the rest of the economy into account, the whole tourism industry is up to 8% of GDP. So it has a huge impact. And I think GDP is one thing, but the other more important thing is what is happening to employment. So that industry employs lots of people, especially those that have no professional skills, many women. So it is just very heartbreaking what is happening.
Absolutely. And the issues that you've just pointed out, it means that had the December period gone differently, had there not been this decision by other countries around the world to essentially cut Southern African nations, and specifically South Africa, off in the build-up to December, we could well have recovered from that number of 43, and easily so.
Absolutely, I agree. We would have seen higher confidence, but we would have also seen GDP growth, sustaining. So for this year, we expect GDP growth to be about over 5%, but we have provided for a fourth wave. So we argued not for very strict, we didn't expect very strict, many restrictions, but households, individuals to be more, as the pandemic spread, they naturally stay away. But even that, with growth next year about 2.2%, and all this will now be affected in this December and the January, February period, which is a very important period for the hospitality industry. It is summertime, it is their busiest time. And it is certainly, it will play a big role in that and then feed through to the rest of the economy.
I wonder, George, if you don't mind me coming in there, I wonder how much, I mean, obviously the international travel is a massive blow to our tourism economy here in South Africa. I wonder how much of local tourism could help the recovery.
Yes, that was definitely part of the developments. We have seen an improvement since September September this year, and we hope that it continues. Personally, I think the way the President spoke yesterday evening, that generated confidence. And so people that are vaccinated and are keeping, normal hygiene rules, we have to learn to live with this and work with it. And so I think there will be less of a pullback in the case of the local visitors. And so definitely the hotels and restaurants will rely on that. But the international tourists, especially those from Europe and the USA, are the big spenders, and they will have helped the industry to build up some resources for winter time. Now, we don't know how long this travel ban will continue. At the moment, it appears that the whole world is in a total panic, and it is very much, from their perspective, understanding, but it is really a panic and emotional decision, not one based on facts. And if they come to different view and lift the travel ban, things can resume, but it will have a knock-on effect. And I think that the other thing we mustn't forget, it also has an effect on other businesses and consumers, So we are all affected, and I think we may think twice now after what has happened. Hopefully we get together and in support of the country continue with our daily lives, get vaccinated and learn to live with this virus.
George Kershoff, let me thank you for your time this morning. He's the director at the Bureau of Economic Research as we continue to look at the issue of business confidence in the wake specifically of those international lockdowns.